The Toronto Maple Leafs took care of business against the Washington Capitals, and our good old Mike DiStefano got a first eye view of it all. We'll talk about that and more on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your daily fix for all things Leafs. I'm your host, David Morassutti, and joining me is my good buddy, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. Remember that Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. We'll always thank you for making us your first listen. But this is indeed your first time listening to us, we always appreciate that. And remember, you can catch us on YouTube at Locked On Leafs. We're pushing to keep those subscriber counts going up, and you guys are doing a fantastic job at that. So we always like to thank you for those. All right.
So before we get into the game, today's the final keyword to listen to, the final word for the phrase for the week. So at some point throughout today's episode, not going to tell you when, we'll be tossing out the final word. And then when we do, when you hear it, you're going to comment below. Comment below the full sentence from the whole week, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today's Friday episode. And then we'll be picking a random commenter, random winner from the comment section below. Make sure you also like the video, and then also make sure you are subscribed to us as well. That's how you are eligible. So literally just like it, subscribe, make sure you're subscribed to us, and then comment in the section below. That's how you're going to win yourself this stick, or make yourself eligible for one lucky winner.
Yes, and if you commented on a previous video, that does not count.
No.
You have to comment on this video.
Yes.
So I have seen comments from other videos. I know you guys, some of you have believed you have figured it out. I mean, you have to wait for the last word.
I don't know. Maybe they haven't.
We could throw a wrench to your whole plan. Just saying. But if you did comment on another video, please make sure you comment on this video.
Yeah.
I want to see a bunch of comments when I wake up. In the
I want to see 500. We had 500 subs. I want each and every one to be eligible, each and every one to have a chance to win. So make sure you do it. And if you're listening via podcast, you got to log on to YouTube, subscribe, like it, and then also comment on this specific video to make yourself eligible as well. Let's get into the game today. Let's get into it, because it was a fun one, Dave. A fun one.
So, yes, the Toronto Maple Leafs welcoming the red-hot Washington Capitals, or so we thought they were red-hot.
Where are they?
I don't know. I think the Leafs proved that a certain team was a little fraudulent. 7-3 victory over the Washington Capitals. I mean, just an absolute, let's call it as it is, a real butt whooping on the part of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it started with a great first period, gets 2 goals, then you get another 4 in the second period to really solidify things, and you get another one in the third, just to make sure the Capitals knew that they're not just a 2-period team. They can get it done in 3 periods. But we had 3 players record 2 goals on the night: Michael Bunting, William Nylander, and Ilya Mikheyev all scoring, and of course Ilya Bushkin scoring his first goal of the season. If you had that in your bingo card tonight, well played.
Yeah, tonight was a strange game, because if you would have told me that we would see 10 goals tonight between the Leafs and the Capitals, and not one of them would be Auston Matthews or Alex Ovechkin, probably wouldn't have took that bet. Definitely would not have taken that bet. But here we are, man. Like, this is 2 in a row where Matthews hasn't scored. What's going on with this guy?
But he did get a little bit of another. This guy is just milestone week, appreciation week. 100 points on the season for Auston Matthews, picking up an assist, a obviously some people like to say it was a secondary assist. No, this was a pretty secondary assist if you saw the play, getting in on the action on Michael Bunting's goal, which was a slump buster, and I'm pretty sure somebody on this podcast was manifesting some goodness towards Michael Bunting's way. And of course, our good friend here, Mike DiStefano, co-host here, was in attendance. So clearly Michael Bunting knew that Mike was at the game. He needed to have his best, and he did, scoring not once but twice. Best way to get over a goal slump, you make sure you pick up 2 for a little extra measure.
Yeah, and then the Selly, the monkey off the back celebration, tossing it out, tossing it off his back was fantastic. No, it was honestly it was a great game. It was a lively crowd. I thought, actually, surprisingly, I know it's not typically that way, but no, I thought that once the team started getting into it, the goals started to come early, often. It was frequent celebrations within Leafs Nation. It was great. There was the booze was flowing, the food was getting eaten. Man, I had a great time at the game. And it's starting to become a pattern here, Dave. Whatever team I associate myself when I'm inside the building tends to do pretty well. They tend to do pretty well. Because if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, I was at the CHL game. I was actually on the bench that time. And they went out and they kicked ass. And then tonight I'm in the building and the Maple Leafs go out, they kick ass. I don't know. Is it just my aura? Is that what it is? Is it just my aura, Dave? Me being around, everyone's like, man, let's just get it. Let's do it for AB.
Well, and some people were trying to figure out where AB was in the building.
Oh, you saw that tweet?
I saw that tweet. One of your co-hosts from Leafs Lunch, Frankie Corrado, former Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah, free Frankie.
Decides to figure out where the heck is AB in this photo.
So if you are, let's explain the photo here.
Yeah,
Dave.
so if you're on YouTube, you're obviously seeing a screenshot here of Frankie Crowd tweeting out "Where's Waddle?" Edition. If you're listening on the podcast, it's pretty much the grainiest picture you typically see when somebody is zooming in from a very high place up in the press box. And Mike, I'm sorry, sir. You did not mention to me that you were going to be rows from the glass that I could count on my hand.
Yeah, no, I was technically it's four rows from the glass, but like there's the 2 rows right beside the bench there to the right of the players or to the left of the players in the photo we're looking at. Like it's actually only 1 row technically, or I think there might be 2. Yeah, I think it's only 1 row actually because you'll see the guys standing in suits. That's how the players go out and then they go legitimately into the locker room. So it's the 4th row, but there's also only 1 other row in front of me before you get to glass. And then it's basically like the players, that's how they walk in and out from the bench. So yeah, just a couple of rows up from ice level. I've never sat so close in a hockey game to ice level in my life. I'll tell you this though, Dave, like it's cool. It's a great experience and whatnot, but you kind of miss some of the game. I don't know if you've ever sat that close before, but you can't really see what's going on in the one corner. So you're constantly like, anytime it was along the corner where the benches are, I had to like look up at the Jumbotron to see what was going on because you just can't see the whole ice being that low. So, it's got its pros and cons, the pros and cons. But no, that my father got me those tickets. That's the gentleman that's sitting there. I'm in the blue. I don't know if you can.
If you haven't found it right now, I'm kind of taking. I don't know if you can see the mouse. It's not really quiet.
There
I got
you go.
mouse cursor. I'm a good Where's Waldo person. I know. He's right near the Sport Check. If you go where the Sport Check is to the right, down.
Your mouse. Your mouse was there. I don't know why it's not there anymore. It was there for a second, but anyway.
I don't know. I think it disappears after a while. But
Maybe
we found it.
We found it. But it was my father actually got the tickets for us. Ended up getting them through Fallsview Casino. So they were kind of comped casino tickets there. So that was pretty sweet. We got like there's a suite. So I don't know if you've ever been in like the Platinum Suite area, but it's not bad. So like there's those seats there, and then you kind of go in the back and behind underneath all that, and there's the suites. and that's where they have, the free booze and beer and pizza. And they brought in a charcuterie board strictly as a request from me and my father. Like, it wasn't there. It was just like pizza, wings, chicken fingers, chips, popcorn, and whatnot. And we're like, any charcuterie? And they're like, yeah, you want some? Absolutely. So they brought us out a big old thing of charcuterie with like prosciutto, salami, some pepper. Like, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't bad at
Taken
all.
care
There
of
was
for sure.
Yeah, there's some olives. It was very on brand for the Al's brother situation. But all in all, man, like, I can't complain. It was a fantastic game. The people sitting around me were really cool. A couple people kind of recognized me who were around me too, like, hey, are you Al's brother by chance? Yeah, oh, can we take a photo? Stuff like that. So that was kind of neat. Told a couple of people, hey, go listen to our podcast, Locked On Leafs, the daily show. You can listen to it via audio form or on YouTube. So I was making sure I was plugging our show here, pal, as well. But ultimately, great experience. And you know what I was a little surprised by? Like, that's the first time that I've ever seen Alex Ovechkin live. Didn't do much today. Didn't
Well,
do
he did
much.
do one thing.
Yeah, he
Poor call,
blew up Timmy
poor
Littleton.
call. Well, he also Timothy Logan and poor Colin Blackwell as well.
Yeah, that's all he did. He
Colin Blackwell
blew up a
just
couple guys, and that was about it. But in terms of offense, like, they really neutralized them. Didn't do much of anything. No one really did much of anything, I would say. The John Carlson goal, that was, like, right in front of me too. That was a beautiful goal. Like, the way that he just kinda walked around and just, forehand, backhand, tucks it in behind Campbell. That was a beautiful goal. But there was just, so many moments tonight where you just get up and celebrate, you start high-fiving fans, and lots of good chants out there. It was a good time. Good time tonight at the
yeah,
game.
Alex Ovechkin finished the game as a -1, had one shot on goal. How
Yeah.
many times do you see Alex Ovechkin only have one shot on goal? Very
Not
rarely.
not very often, and for a guy who took the over on Alex Ovechkin shots tonight, that, I did not appreciate. I'll tell you that. Didn't
And
appreciate that one.
he also only played 15 minutes and 40 seconds, which I don't know about you, does not sound like an Alex Ovechkin stat line.
No, I think once you get to that point in a game, though, where it's just, you're midway through the third or even before then, like, it was 6-2 heading into the third period. It was curtains, man. Then they made it 7-2, and it was like, okay, this game's over. You just kind of play your bottom six, you play your depth, and you just kind of save your big boys, and just kind of scale their minutes back, a way of kind of resting them without having to actually rest them. And they did similar things with Matthews and Marner tonight too. They didn't play them late, and even on that power play at the end of the game, they didn't send out Matthews and Marner. They sent out actually Bunting, Nylander, and Mikheyev were the guys who went over the bench. They had an opportunity on that late power play to try and see if one of them could end up to getting the hat trick. Didn't end up happening, unfortunately. Nylander had a good opportunity though. But all in all, like I said, man, great game for the Maple Leafs. I thought they came out to play tonight, and it was a terrific response when you think about how they played against Buffalo the other night. We kind of knew it was going to happen. It's like, listen, they played down to their opponent for whatever reason, but when they know they got to pick it up against a playoff caliber team, they do it. And if that doesn't give you hope that once the playoffs roll around, that this team should be ready to go and they can compete with the big boys and any squad that's out there that's going to be in the Eastern Conference playoffs, I don't know what to tell you. Because when you go out and you put an absolute romp on a team like the Washington Capitals, who are a fantastic hockey club, a playoff caliber team, you beat them 7-3. You got to feel good about yourself. Got to feel good about this team if you're a real Leafs fan.
No, for sure. And we're gonna take a quick break here because we are gonna discuss more about this game and look at some individual performances as we are bringing back the 3 stars as we get away from the good, bad, and ugly because they actually did well tonight. So we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna unfortunately have to go over some rough fistic. Well, they ended up having fisticuffs later, but
Yeah.
Tom Wilson getting into the gnarly business that we always see from him
Mhm.
with his run with Jack Campbell. We'll discuss that play. We also discuss some other news happening around Leafs land involving one Mr. Matthew Nyes, and also discuss the Battle of Ontario coming back for this weekend. Before we do, I'm going to talk about our good friends over at Built Bar. Obviously, this is the time of year where we're really trying to keep to our New Year's resolutions, and if you have at this point, You got to keep it going. You got to keep pushing towards it. So what's one way you can do it? Try a Built Bar. Have you ever tried their puffs? If you haven't, missing out on one of the best Built Bars out there. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, I said it, 100% real chocolate. Right? They're low calorie, they're high protein. You can replace your candy bars with these. They're even better than most candy bars. As you know, most candy bars can be between 2 to 300 calories. Most builders contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So how can you take advantage of our great offer here at Locked On Leafs? Well, go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. So that is promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Leafs podcast. David Morassutti here with my co-host Mike DiStefano as we continue to talk about this great result for the Toronto Maple Leafs, picking up the 7-3 victory over the Washington Capitals, chasing Ilya Samsonov again
Yeah.
in net. I thought that was quite interesting that this is the second time where it just felt like, was this a bit of a mercy pulling? Was this just a night where he just didn't have his best after what we saw the last 4 games from the Washington Capitals? I did not have the goaltender getting pulled, allowing 4 goals on, I think at that point in the game was 20 shots or 19
Yeah.
shots against. I did not see that coming.
I think it may have had to do more with trying to spark the Capitals than it was like Samsonov's play himself. Because like the Maple Leafs were all over that team. Like I think I looked up in the shots, it was halfway through the game, and it was like 23-5 or something like that. And I looked at the guy beside me and I'm like, holy, like Toronto, they can't get anything going. Toronto's just dominating them. The entire game is being played in the Washington end, and so I think that's more so what it was as opposed to Samsonov, not having a good night. Not to say that he was, because a couple of those goals, some rebounds that he let go of, he wasn't tracking the puck as nicely as he should. I think it was what the Willie goal where it was I don't really even like again. So because I'm not there and I can't see the the replay sometimes, because I'm watching it live. The Willie goal when he was at the side of the net, I think it was his second goal. What exactly happened on that one? There or
Yes.
was it Mikheyev? One of those goals was either the 4-1 or the 5-1 one, where it was just like someone was at the side of the net and they like went off with the skate of the goaltender, didn't quite have the skate on the post. Is that what happened?
It was quite a strange goal because first off, Morgan Riley made an absolutely disgusting play, Deke, and should have probably
Yeah,
scored. And then he set up. It was mad chaos because Riley was at the side of the net. McCabe was right in the wheelhouse there, and then the puck kind of just slid across the crease, and Nylander was like, "Oh, okay, thank you," and he just
got it.
kind of just tapped it in. The good old tap it in
Good name.
after he missed what was I don't know how he missed that wide open net. You probably might have gotten a better view of it than we did on the broadcast.
Yeah,
I was just such a you're just like,
I know.
how do you miss that? And then he wasn't missing much after that.
It's funny because when that happened, my dad was already like cheering almost as he was getting ready to rip that puck. He was like, "Yeah!" And then he's like, "Wait, that didn't go in? What?" I'm like, "No, Dad, he ripped it wide. Like, didn't go in,
It was a
unfortunately."
tough
Yeah,
angle, I will say. It wasn't the easiest angle, but you also have a wide open cage.
yeah. Hey, man, he still scored 2 on the night, man. He had a really good game, I thought, especially like that first one, just a nice little clapper. What
Love
a
these
pass!
goals.
What a pass from Engvall. I
Oh
thought
yeah.
Pierre Engvall had a fantastic game tonight.
Oh yeah. He when we go through our 3 stars, he's a guy that might not reach the 3 stars, but he had a sneaky good game.
Mhm.
I mean, I love a good old beautiful clapper. That just seems to be his spot. When he's coming down the rush, sometimes he takes those shots and they don't go in. Most of the times though, those goalies, I don't know, just something about that line of sight from Willie. He just knows exactly where he wants to put that puck. And he didn't go high, which is I usually, you don't want to go high and miss the net. You didn't go low and potentially get that swallowed up. He picked that right sweet spot just
Mhm.
above the pad and where the blocker is, and obviously he cashed in here. Before we get to your 3 stars, I wanted to pull up an interesting stat here from Sportsnet Stats about this game, which if you're on YouTube, you're looking at the great old tweet here. If you're on the podcast listening audio form, I'll read it out to you. The Leafs have 3 players score multiple goals in the same game for the first time since January 7th, 2011 against the Atlanta Thrashers. Yes, the team that no longer exists was the last time the Leafs had 3 or more players score multiple goals in the same game. And I was reading some of the comments here. And then Brett Lebda's best NHL career game. Brett Lebda, legendary game. That was the Grabowski. Like, I'm just like, oh man, bringing up the nostalgia here. And I actually looked it up. Brett Lebda did in fact score 2 goals in that game
Wow.
somehow. Clark MacArthur was in on it as well. I mean, that team was just, I don't
That
remember.
must have been the Clark MacArthur year. Like, he had that one real solid season in Toronto, and then I think he had a pretty good year in Ottawa too. But
2000, yeah, he had 62 points in 82 games. I remember that
yeah,
MacArthur, Kuhlman, Grabowski line was unstoppable.
it was pretty good.
Great
Pretty
second line.
good.
But now we're talking about obviously the guys who are here now and getting the job done. So let's go over our 3 stars of the night, Mike. There's a lot to choose from here. This is going to be one of the tougher ones, I think. So
Oh, it is tough, man. It is tough. Since I know you're going to have this guy in your 3 stars, I'm gonna toss Pierre Engvall as my 3rd star because I want to give him some love. I thought he had a terrific game. It seemed like every time I looked up, the guy had the puck and he was breaking it out, using a lot, utilizing his speed to just like creating all night, whether it was for himself or for his teammates. You know, the one that he had on Bunting's goal. I think that was what his 2nd goal of the game for Bunting. It was that was just a beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful play. Just kind of like that was right in front of me. It was too. Just kind of reaches around the defender and just uses his length to scoop it over, and then Bunting lifts it over the net. That was really nice. The breakout pass to Willie on the 2nd goal of the game was really nice, and he had a couple of opportunities himself. Drew a penalty, which okay. I know that it doesn't necessarily work that way, but there's no doubt in my mind that that would have been a no doubter breakaway for Pierre Engvall. Could
yeah,
that not have been a penalty shot? Like, I know it's at center ice. Like, if he would have had maybe one more stride, perhaps it would have been a little bit more easier to call that. But like that, it definitely could have been a breakaway and a penalty shot. But nonetheless, anyways, it wasn't. But I wanted to give Pierre Engvall some love here and give him my 3rd star of the game.
he very, very deserving guy. I went with Ilya Mikheyev here. I mean, 2 goals, played pretty well. He played in all situations, playing power play,
Yeah.
shorthanded. I mean, that Washington Capitals power play is one you always have to have your eyes peeled for. They got some real nasty shooters. John Carlson being one of them. He did not score on the power play. He did score in this game, as you mentioned. But I just thought, another night where he shows his offensive abilities.
How do you not mention Ovechkin? You're talking about those
Yeah.
Washington scores, and the name Ovechkin wasn't the first one to come out of your mouth. That was wrong with you, Dave.
Not,
That was wrong
not
with
in
you.
this game. They shut down Ovi. They shut him
Yeah,
down.
true, very true.
John Carlson, 15 goals on the season. It's pretty good for a defenseman.
I don't know, man. That seems like low for him, actually, for some reason.
Well, he did have that one. I mean, when he won the Norris, he had. I'm looking up his stats right
It was
now.
like 25 or something like that, I thought.
No,
Yeah, over a point per game.
he was over a point. Sorry, he was over a point per game, but 15 is actually that ties his career high. So
Really? Okay. All
yeah,
right.
he had
Pretty good
75
job.
points 2 years ago and 2 seasons ago. So he's usually in that point per game, or he's in that point per game range right now, and he's
Right.
always been. But 15 goals. So if he scores another one, that would be a career high for John Carlson. Very
All right.
interesting. Yeah. So he was. Ilya Mikheyev was my third star. Obviously deserving. Your 2nd star.
Just first and foremost, how disgusting was that 2nd Mikheyev goal? Faking the clapper, almost like Spezza-esque, just faking the clapper, but then goes in and does his patented forehand backhand shove. I loved it. I absolutely loved every second of it. My second star I want to give to Willie. I thought Willie had a real solid game tonight. We talked about him a little bit in the previous one, but he ended up with a couple of goals. I thought that he was kind of all over the place tonight. Definitely had a response game after we called him out a little bit actually after the game against Buffalo. There was a couple of shifts there where it seemed like he took the night off realistically, along with a lot of other Maple Leafs. But tonight he seemed to be motivated quite a bit. Right from the get-go, too. So I thought Willie Nylander had himself quite the game, so I gave him my second star.
Yeah, I gave him my second star, too. I think I said it in the last show that with the Leafs needed offense from other places. Well, they did get offense from other places, and William Nylander should have probably had 3 in this game. He probably could have had 4. That's something that Sheldon Keefe even said after the game. He thought Nylander was so good that he thought he should have ended the night with 3 or 4.
Yeah. Led Maple Leafs forwards with a 73% Corsi, so a 73% shot share, 14-5 shot share while out there on the ice, and an 88% expected goal for percentage, which is second to only TJ Brody on the team and first amongst all forwards. So just goes to show how good of a chance he had. And he was on the ice for 6 scoring chances, 4 only 1 scoring chance against. So yeah, that line as a whole was really creating tonight.
Definitely. I mean, that's something you look to see from that line. If you're going to be successful in the playoffs, you need to find other lines to be lethal so that you're not, teams don't just hone in on one line. You don't want the top line to be the center of focus in a lot of the opposing teams shutting down the Leafs offense. And we saw that tonight that they got some other guys that can score, especially if
Yeah.
they're given those opportunities. Nylander, obviously, one of them. All right, I think it's almost unanimous who the first star is, and we have to kind of give props to the guy who finally, as they would say, The Rock. Michael
Finally!
Bunting has come back to scoring goals.
There you go.
I'm not The Rock when it comes to my promos, but I try my best here.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad.
Michael Bunting, you can tell as soon as he scored that goal.
Dude, he was so stoked. He was so excited. Monkey off the back. Like, it's been a while. When was the last time Michael Bunting has scored? Let me look.
I was just looking that up right now. That was the first goal.
It's been like over a
18
dozen games, no?
18 games.
18 games. And like this was somebody who before that was on a real stretch there. He was like a point per game player for like a 20 game stretch right before he kind of hit this skid a little bit. And then I call it a skid. The guy still is picking up assists like it's no tomorrow with Matthews and Marner, but the goal scoring, he was the number one goal scorer amongst all rookies in the league, and then really went cold, and somehow still leads all rookies in goal scoring. I still don't quite like just amazing. And then when you look at the 5-on-5 numbers, it's even better. But yeah, Michael Bunting was another one of those guys who really, right from the get go, you knew, he was on one tonight. He was going to have a good game, and found the back of the net a couple of times, and just strictly by going to the net. Both of them were, all just off of 2-on-1 plays. Go to the net, and you'll get the puck in the right spot. And when you get the puck in the right place, good things can happen, and that's exactly what happened for Michael Bunting. So certainly he's somebody. Both of us, I think, had him as our number one star.
I had him too, and like that second goal, you could not have put that puck in a more perfect place. Like he goes lower, that's getting saved. Like he got it just in that right spot.
Yeah, and he like purposely like flips it up over the shoulder of Vitek Vanacek. And like you said, if that is maybe 6 inches lower and he isn't able to get the lift that he had to get on it to score, that might not be a goal. I don't think it is.
No.
Right. So and that was, at that point, it was just a good goal to score at that time. When was that goal scored? 6-1. Okay, it was pretty much over by that point, but but like you said, it was definitely just like a really nice play, and it's something that he wasn't doing, and it's just confidence, right? He gets the monkey off the back early in the game, and then he's got confidence. He's playing with a little bit of swagger, and he scores a nice beauty like that a little bit later on.
Yeah, and obviously at 26 years old, just played his 100th career game. And after the game, they asked him about it. He says, "Hopefully, I play hundreds more. That's the goal. You know, it took me a while to get to this league and earn a spot. I'm here now. I'm going to do everything I can to not let that go. So I'm going to bring it every single night." How
Nice.
could you not cheer for this guy?
Yeah. Oh,
He might
absolutely.
he might be a pain in the rear end to play against, and maybe opposing fans do not like to see Michael Bunting. But Leafs fans, there's a little bit of this is we've said it before. We knew it almost as soon as that line of Matthews, Marner, and Bunting was put together. There was a hidden gem that Kyle Dubas found here in
Yeah.
Michael Bunting, and now that he's got the goals, watch out. Just watch out right now.
Yeah. I made a prediction on Overdrive earlier this year. Remember he scored a hat trick in
I think it was Detroit.
preseason? Well, in
Oh,
preseason.
preseason. Yeah.
And after he did that, I was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna score 25 goals this year." Like I was drinking the Kool-Aid early on Michael Bunting. I'm like, this guy's gonna be in the top 6. He's gonna score 25 goals. He's just gonna hang out in front of the net and like he's got all the hands in front of the net. And I thought he was gonna do it. And he's like, I know he's hasn't hit 25 yet and he's approaching that, but he still has vastly exceeded my expectations. Like vastly like just as an all-around player. Really, he has. He's been a heck of a find. And I mean, for a team that's cap strapped, like Zach Hyman, who? Am I right?
Yeah,
Zach
exactly.
Hyman, who? You know what I mean? Like they've got Michael Bunting, who's filling in very nicely offensively the way that Zach Hyman did last year. And then they found some guys to kind of pick it up defensively and guys to pick it up on the PK. You know, and I love Hyman as much as the next guy, but I'll be honest, he's a big reason Bunting that is for why we don't miss him nearly as much as I thought we would this season.
No, exactly. And you're seeing what guys like Bunting, Mikheyev, Camp, Engvall,
Engvall,
like these are guys that might not have been given the opportunity. They might not even be here, as you said, if Hyman was kept. Maybe
yeah,
Michael Bunting would have been here based on the fact that he's making less than $1 million over 2 seasons.
right.
Thank you very much for that one, Mr. Kyle Dubas. But yeah, it's hard to not be impressed. He's definitely exceeded expectations, given we had no idea what this guy could do. But clearly, Leafs manager knew what they were getting when they signed Michael Bunting. All right. We have some other things to talk about from this game, not necessarily positive. So we're going to do that. We're going to also discuss Matthew Nyes, and we're going to put a bow on it by talking about the good old Sennies and the Leafs going over to Ottawa to play against their Ontario rival. But before we do that, Mike, let's talk about our friends over at Bet Online.
Yes, betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all your latest sport developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts.
All right, we'd like to welcome you back to the Locked On Leafs podcast. We're put a bow on this. We're putting one little tiny thing we need to finish off on the 7-3 victory over the Washington Capitals. Before, you know what, we're gonna talk about this first thing first before we unveil the final word in our Auston Matthews stick giveaway. We're not gonna do it just yet. We're gonna make you wait a little bit more. We're gonna do it just
Yeah, we made
because.
you wait a whole week longer. Why not wait another 5-10 minutes? Why not?
Yeah, and we've always kind of been a little predictable of giving it away right after the second break. Nah, we're throwing a curveball. We're gonna throw a curveball like Kevin Gosman did against the Yankees. We're not gonna talk
Ayo.
about how that game finished, but we're gonna just we're gonna
No,
talk about.
really, did you see it? I saw a stat out there today that Vlad Guerrero Jr. is the first player to follow up a 3-homer performance with a 4K performance since they started keeping track of the stat in 1910.
Yeah, the offense was no dice on this night for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Blue
It
Jays.
was opposite. It was like the Toronto Maple Leafs were the Monstars, and they sucked all of the offense away from the Blue Jays for tonight and went out and were just incredible in this one. And the Blue Jays, well, they looked more like the Leafs of Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Campbell, man, you see him get run over by Tom Wilson there. We know what Tom Wilson's all about. We know the type of player he is. Looking at this play, there was, I mean, obviously it's Tom Wilson. You're gonna lose your marbles a bit here, especially
Yeah.
when it involves your goaltender. When it involves a guy that's been in and out of the lineup, dealing with injuries, was not exactly 100% this week, and we knew all about that. Then he takes that shot to the head.
Yeah.
What was the energy like in the building? I'm
Um,
curious to know.
well, once we realized that it was Tom Wilson, because at first I wasn't sure exactly who the player was. I just saw somebody ran into Campbell and ran into him. He went off the post. His helmet came off, and I was like, "Whoa, what the hell is going on?" And then no one really attacked the other player because the other player, which turned out to be Tom Wilson, also kind of took a bit of a spill into the boards, and it looked almost as if it was accidental. And then once I realized that it was Tommy Wilson, I'm like, there's nothing accidental about that. And then I was a little upset that the Maple Leafs didn't actually respond. Like Jake Muzzin was there. Like you got to go after that guy right in that moment. Now, he had to face the music, and the retribution came later on with Kyle Clifford. Let's give him a little round of applause for going after Tom Wilson. Took a couple of shots, but hey, you at least stuck up for your teammates. But yeah, no, there was the boo birds were certainly out for Tom Wilson, and then every time that man touched the puck tonight thereafter, the boos were coming out. It was like as if when who was it? Was it every time PK was or really what it was like when Tavares is in the outline is in Long Island. That's what it was like. The Boo Birds came out every time he touched the puck. And where I was sitting was like basically right behind the Capitals bench, right? So I had fans like to the left of me who were right behind the bench, just giving it to him through the entire game.
Nice.
Wilson, you suck. You're a disgrace to the Toronto City, blah, just giving it to him. And he actually like left the game for a moment. He ended up having to get some skate. He had some skate issue. I saw him relacing skates. He also was sitting on the bench getting some attention from the medical staff at some point too. So he wasn't like 100% in that game either. But yeah, in terms of that hit specifically, I hated every single second of it. And obviously, thankfully, Soupy seemed to be okay. Did you hear afterwards that he talked about it in his post game presser?
It's funny. He gave the most Jack Campbell answer you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna see if I can find. Okay, I'm gonna find that quote exactly. But I didn't like the fact that he was reaching for the puck. It's I understand that you got to try to make the play and make sure you're not putting yourself in a position you're going to let the puck in. I didn't like that he reached for it and put himself in that vulnerable position, but at the same time, Tom Wilson, we
He did
know
nothing. He did nothing to evade the
no,
goaltender.
nothing.
Nothing to evade him.
And he got penalized, so the refs clearly knew he did something wrong there. Kyle Dubas was none too pleased about that play as well.
Oh, did they show a little?
Kyle was Kyle had the Kyle response when he saw what happened with Jack there. I wonder if I
Was it
can.
like Pierre? Was it like Pierre when he tossed the water?
Oh, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Pierre tossed in the water, but it was. I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Um,
Tic Tac Tomar's got to have a GIF. That guy's got to have a GIF for it. It's got to happen. That guy gifts everything.
yeah, no,
Absolutely everything.
I gotta. Oh, here. Okay. Actually, Maple Leafs Hot Stove has it, so I'm gonna pull it up for our audience here on YouTube. If you're on the audio form, make sure you go to YouTube and look at it. Like you could tell, he's shaking his head. And he knows as soon as he sees this Tom Wilson, he knows that it's not. It's
That's exact. So he had the exact same thing where he didn't realize who it was at first, and then once he realized it was Wilson, he's like, "Of course, it's freaking Wilson." Like that was pretty much my exact response to it myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a great play there. So when Campbell was asked about it, I mean he didn't shake it off completely, but he I just had the quote here too. Sorry. Yeah. Campbell said it was a hockey play and didn't think there was any harm intended on the collision with Wilson. And then he puts in, I met him at the All-Star game. Nice guy. Jack is just one of those people who just sees the good in everybody. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is that he's okay.
Yeah.
And he was able to continue in the game. So that was
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that Clifford was the one who dropped the mitts and not Simmer? I just assumed the whole game after I saw that. Like I turned to my dad and I was like, "You watch, Simmons now is gonna have to fight him in the second period. It's happening, guaranteed." And then he ends up going out and I so it came off of a commercial break, right? The fight.
Yeah.
And so I saw them both skate over, and there was some chatting going on between Wilson and Clifford, and I'm like, never mind, it's gonna be the 43s. They're about to fight, and he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "The two guys in the corner over there, they're about to fight. Watch." And I legitimately saw like Wilson already starting to like get his gloves off, just ready to toss them and start to throw down. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Puck drops, boom, fight. And he's like, "How'd you know?" I'm like, "That's just, you read the game." He's not a massive hockey fan. He's just, he wanted to go and have some fun. But yeah, I was a little surprised that it was Clifford and not Simmons.
So yeah, I understand why Muzzin doesn't do it. I'm sorry, Jake Muzzin coming off of a couple concussions. Don't want to see him mixing up with Tom
I
Wilson.
didn't, I didn't want him to fight Tom
But
Wilson when
you
it
wanted him.
happened, but at least give the guy a face wash or like push his face with your gloves, something.
No, that's fair. So apparently after the play happened, um, I can't play it now because the language will definitely get flagged on YouTube. But there was a hot mic situation on the broadcast,
Oh,
and Tom Wilson basically picked up on the mic saying, "Go fight your bleeping guy, your own bleeping guy." Sorry. So basically, I think he was trying to put the fact that this was on
Campbell.
Campbell. So
I
I think
hate that.
he's definitely trying to pin that off on the goaltender, not being aware of where he is on the ice. But at the same time, you're the guy going for the puck. You should see
Yeah,
the goaltenders in a position where he can't defend himself.
yeah.
He's still in his blue paint. He's not venturing out to get the puck either. So yeah, I can understand why Tom Wilson isn't going to exactly say, "Yeah, no, my bad," because we've never seen Tom Wilson ever
No,
do
no. Accountability in Tom Wilson is an oxymoron. Yeah.
exactly. All right. So I think it's time for us to put a
One last thing. I need to give a special shout out to Morgan Riley, who absolutely
oh
blew,
yes.
who did he blow up? I can't remember. I didn't see the number for whatever reason. I can't remember who it was, but blew up a capital
Johan
score
Larson.
behind the net. Larson just blew him up, and like I think that may have been one of the loudest pops of the night was when Mo just absolutely annihilated Larson. That or maybe even like Labushkin's goal. One of those two were the loudest pops of the night. I'll say that.
I'll just say this, Johan Larson, buddy. I think what happened was he was trying to look back at the puck and
Yeah.
Riley's just like, I got this guy on the trolley tracks. And you don't see Morgan Riley make hits like that. That's
No.
what I call the Ilya Labushkin factor. He's Ilya Labushkin's he's wearing off of Morgan Riley in the right way. And that
They
was
they're all kind of starting to rub off on each other in a right way, right? You just look at in general, and you look at Mitch Marner too, and how much more effective he's been since he's incorporated a little bit of hitting into his game. The last couple of games, it's kind of slowed down a bit, but there was a time there where he was leading. I think it was since the All-Star break. There was like a stretch of games there where he was leading all Maple Leafs forwards and hits, like or actually all Maple Leafs in hits. Now I think about it, and like that's Mitch Marner. It's insane. It's just it is kind of a little bit infectious when that starts to happen. But you talk about Riley Liljegren. I'm pretty sure I saw they were +4. Yeah, both Riley and Labushkin. Sorry, Riley Labushkin both +4 on the night. Same with JT John Tavares a +4 on the night. Liljegren though, how the heck do you win a game 7-3 and be a -2? Not ideal. Not ideal
no,
for Lily.
ideal, but the good thing is that they picked up the victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And now is the time. The time
Let's go.
is nigh. The final word that we will be using for the full phrase to win this Auston Matthews, it's upside down, Auston Matthews, Tim Hortons NHL Superstar Collectible Stick that has not been opened, obviously, potentially could be a golden superstar stick inside. I believe they only sell these in Canada too. So if you're international, this is a nice item for you to get. The final word for the phrase is, what is it, Dave? Do you remember?
I was trying to remember the 2 words.
It's it's rocket. The final word is rocket. So that is the final word. So you now have the whole phrase, the whole sentence throughout the week. Go back if you missed it. You're gonna have to go back. Listen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's is rocket though, and there's 5 keywords throughout the week, and it all makes a statement, makes a sentence, a phrase, and the final word is rocket. So now that it is all out there, just a reminder, we will be picking one random comment down in the comment section here on YouTube. If you are listening via podcast, make sure you head to YouTube and make sure that you like the video, make sure you are subscribed, and then comment the full phrase in the comment section below. We'll be picking the winner from that section via, I think there's some sort of like auto-generated comment picker.
Yeah, we're gonna record it. I will record it when it happens. So
Yeah.
there's no funny business. Nobody's thinking that we're giving it away to a cousin or a friend. No,
Exactly. No, exactly. We're a very legitimate podcast with legitimate giveaways, and I honestly, not that I want to pick favorites, but I hope this goes to, like, I know we have some fans all the way out in Australia, in England. We had someone tell us the other day that they listened to us on the way to and from class in England. Like, that's so cool. That's awesome. Like, if I could ship this thing out there, and if like that person wins, or maybe there's another fan who's out, who lives in, I don't know, like Japan or something like that. Like, that'd be sick to kind of send it out and have, an international fan win the award. But again, not playing favorites. We're just gonna pick it at random, and then we'll DM you. We'll figure out a way to get a hold of you, and then this will be yours. And we'll be announcing the winner on Monday show. So on Monday show, we'll announce the winner. But we'll probably end up getting a hold of you before then. But if not, we'll definitely get a hold of you on Monday. And that's
sick, Mike.
we're all good. It's all good. It's all good. So there it is. That concludes the 500 sub giveaway. And just a reminder, hey, once we get to 1,000, another giveaway will be happening, and one that is a little more substantial than this one. So keep subbing up, keep sharing it with your friends. The closer we get to, or the sooner we get to 1,000, the sooner that you can win another prize. So hey, keep sharing it with all your Leaf friends, Leaf fans. Share it wherever you want. We really appreciate that as well. So yeah, the final word is Rockets, and we'll let you know who wins on Monday. Before we jet, do you quickly just want to just give some final thoughts on the game against Ottawa tomorrow? What you're kind of expecting out of the Bullets?
We're gonna push them. Okay, I'll quickly announce that. Okay, Matthew Nice has announced that he is going to go back to school for another year. He is not joining the Leafs. I know that's probably sounds like a bit of a disappointment. We're gonna save the comments on that when we have. I wanted to get into the Senators game just because we haven't talked with the Senators in a while. So we're gonna just pin the Nice for the next episode because this isn't going to go away anytime soon, and we got a lot of time to talk about this decision. The Senators did the Leafs a huge favor tonight. Actually, I don't know if you saw this, Mike. They picked up a comeback victory over the Boston Bruins, which now means the Leafs own a 7-point lead. I believe, if my math is correct, a 7-point lead over the Senators for second in the Atlantic Division.
Bruins. The Lightning picked up 2 points tonight too.
So I'm saying, the Bruins are now 7 points out of second.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You don't need to worry about the Bruins right now, unless something weird happens. And the important thing about this win tonight too is that yes, they now still remain 4 points up on the Tampa Bay Lightning. So at this point, you're hoping you're just getting that second place and you're getting home ice against the Lightning here. The next game the Lightning play is against the Winnipeg Jets, who are fighting for their playoff life. So that's not going to be an easy game for them. The Leafs, this is another game where I think the what we're expecting out of this game is let's treat this team like a team that's good and not a team that's bad, because we know what happens when they play a team that's not great and then all of a sudden they look like all-stars.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know why I think that Toronto might come out and play this game, play it well? Like when this team is playing at its best, it's almost like they're getting involved physically. And I've spoken with a bunch of players, former NHLers, and Olympians as well. We spoke with Cheryl Pounder, who had a terrific conversation about trying to get a team jacked up when you feel like you don't have it that night, like they did in Buffalo. And the biggest way to do that is to get physical. Go out there, lay some big hits, and that's kind of how you can spark your team and get the guys going. And a team like Ottawa, who's just kind of gritty and they play a bit more of a physical game, I feel like that's going to bring out some physicality, which could bring out a little bit, bring something out of the Maple Leafs. That'll inject some life into them. And I know that hasn't quite been the case in the past, where Ottawa's given them some trouble. So, and 5-1 last year, that was quite the debacle there. But all in all, I truly believe coming off of a night like tonight, they can't possibly follow it up with a stinker, right? Like this is the time of year. You're in your final 10 games. So what, 9 games left now, 8 games left to go, I think. This is when you got to get on your horse and get going. You get hot at the right time. The time is now to get hot. And like you said, they're still battling for home ice advantage. They're still battling. And you got to pick up those valuable points against teams like Ottawa, against teams like the Islanders, who they're going to play the next night too, because you still got games against Boston, Florida, Tampa. And if they start taking points off of you in those games, you got to at least make sure that you're picking up points along the way against these subpar teams. You already tossed two into the garbage against Buffalo. Can't do it in the same week to the Ottawa Senators
And the Islanders as well.
and the Islanders as well, who've been playing some better hockey, but you got to pick up, I would say, minimum 3 or 4 points this weekend. Minimum.
Definitely an important weekend for the Leafs as they continue their pursuit of first place pretty much out of reach in the Atlantic. So right now, second in the divisions where they are. So I think that will do it for us today on the show. When we come back, we will see how the Leafs did against the Senators and the Islanders, and whether or not we're talking about 2 victories. Is that 4 points in the bank, or is that fewer points in the bank? We'll discuss that on the next episode. I'd like to thank you for listening and showing your support for the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all the podcasting platforms available to you. So make sure you go and subscribe so you can receive all that daily Leafs content. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Make sure we get that count up. Make sure you go and comment so you can make that Auston Matthews stick. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at @the_Morassutti, at Mickey_Canuck, so that if you have any questions about the giveaway too, we're here to help you out, guys. We want to make sure that everybody gets that opportunity to win the Auston Matthews stick. So make sure you come back on Monday to hear it could be your name getting called. So make sure you come back and listen to the show. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.